This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Well, good morning and welcome to the aforementioned Grow Omaha show. Jeff Beals at your service this morning. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. This is the only show in the entire metro area that is devoted to the growth and development of the metro area, business expansion, real estate, construction. We like to talk about business news. It's going to be an action-packed hour, as it always is, and while we're about ready to get started, I do have to do a very important introduction, and that is my co-host, a man who is an absolutely legendary real estate deal maker, Trenton Bradley Magid.
Wow, middle name and everything. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Jeff Beals.
Well, good morning. You know, it's a little chilly weather out there. You know, starting to get kind of that Christmas feel in the air.
The Christmas crisp.
Colder than heck. That's the way it feels out there.
Yes, it does. But let's brighten everybody's mornings.
Yeah, well, we're going to do that. Got a few things before we get into our news of the week. We have a restaurant review this week, Sofra Kitchen in Midtown Crossing. It's, of course, part of our Grow Omaha Eats series, which is brought to you by Cheer Athletics, the nation's top all-star cheer gym. This place is amazing. If you haven't been by this place, you got to go in and see it. It's in these industrial warehouse-type buildings that are southwest of Highway 50 and Highway 370. You look for that Cheer Athletics sign, and amazing facility. And if you've got a kiddo or a grandkid that wants to have an amazing experience, you want to think about that Cheer Athletics.
30,000 plus square feet.
That's true. But anyway, they sponsor Grow Omaha Eats with Sarah Baker Hansen. You can see that review of Sofra Kitchen on growomaha.com by clicking on Eats, E-A-T-S. And of course, if you get our newsletter via email, you'll see all of our reviews and all of our articles every Thursday afternoon. If you don't currently get the newsletter, all you have to do is send an email to news@growomaha.com or go to growomaha.com and click on Market Report. I continue to be amazed in the last few weeks, Trenton, about how the readership numbers are skyrocketing ever since Thanksgiving. We had this banner day on Thanksgiving, and so since Thanksgiving, there's been like 4 newsletters. 3 of them have been all-time open rate highs.
Wow.
So yeah, it's on fire. So if you don't get it, you're missing out.
Pass it along to your sales force. Pass it along to the colleagues in your office. It's a free service. We don't do anything with the names or anything like that, but it comes into your inbox every Thursday afternoon. And it's a quick read, and you get plenty of fodder to talk about what restaurants are moving, what businesses are coming into town, what developments are happening. And it's been, what do we get, about 15,000 people get it now?
Yeah, about 15,000 people get it. So, well, let's bring on our guest today. He is a colleague of ours at NAI NP Dodge and a regular contributor to the show, Brian Hartman. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for letting me come to this morning.
Well, we appreciate you being here, and in a little bit we're going to be talking with you about some Sarpy County things. Both Trenton and you do a lot of brokerage work in Sarpy County. You know, it's Nebraska's 3rd largest and fastest growing, and so we'll spend a little bit of time talking about that. But Brian, we're going to have you join us for the news as well. Speaking of the news, it is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. And guys, I got to make a confession. I'm still recovering from the Eagle Mortgage Christmas party last night. We had a good time.
Holly and their team do a good job.
That's true. They really do. And we got to, all of the team members were there. We got to chat with them, break bread with them, laugh with them. And it was a good time. I tell you, I'm so proud to have that company as a sponsor of Grow Omaha. They take such good care of people. Even last night when we were celebrating, you could just tell when they would talk shop, you know, it was always like positive customer focused stuff. But if you're thinking about getting a loan for a house, and a lot of people are in 2023, go talk to Eagle Mortgage Company. It's such a good idea to get a pre-approval letter from them. And it doesn't matter whether you're going to go conventional FHA or VA. They'll help you with any of those. But get that pre-approval letter and get it taken care of now. Because once you get past New Year's Day and things start to kind of get into that 2023 pattern, it'd be nice to have it taken care of now. So call Eagle Mortgage now. Get that taken care of. All right. You can find them online at eaglemortgagecompany.com or in person at 114th and Davenport. Well, guys, let's look at a few things that are in the news this week. First of all, the Omaha City Council approved $440 million in bonds to fund the planned streetcar, which would run from downtown to the Med Center. The project is expected to cost a total of $306 million and scheduled to open in 2026. So we continue to see this momentum, and we continue to hear all sorts of rumblings about definite and a lot of maybe projects along the streetcar line. Certainly is going to be fun to watch this continue to play out. But this is, a lot of people are saying this was the last major legislative hurdle, if you will.
Absolutely, and it's definitely a process. I mean, you've got to deal with the utilities. You got to move some infrastructure, but it'll be worth it, and we'll see the economic development all along that corridor, and several streets over improve.
Now, when I was in college, fellas, this has been a while because I'm not a spring chicken, and you guys know that because you're both the same age
Absolutely.
as I. So it's been a while since I've been in college, and at that time, they talked about this newfangled crazy idea called the statewide expressway system. The plan was to build 600 miles of 4-lane divided highways in order to connect every Nebraska community of at least 15,000 people to an interstate highway. So
basically I-80.
Yeah, well, a couple of maybe over I-29, maybe if you're so it, but yeah, basically I-80. So this was supposed to total about 600 miles, and it was supposed to be done by 2003. And at the time, we were like, oh my God, 2003, we might all be dead by then. It was so far away. Well, it's now 2022. And there's still $800 million worth of expressway work to be done, and only about 70% of the 600 miles have been completed. Now, the good news...
Well, they're going to say 2040, and then they said, hey, wait.
Yeah, so then they put it out to 2040, and they're like, no, we've got good news. It's only going to be 2036. So everyone has to celebrate, go government, and go state of Nebraska. So, but that's the way we ought to do it in our business, guys. We ought to
Extend and pretend.
We got to go, like if someone wants a project from us from now on, this is what we're going to do. We're going to say, I can have that for you in the year 2040. And then a couple weeks later say, a few things changed. We'll have it done for you in 2023.
Here's a big question.
And they'll think you're an over-deliverer.
When you heard about this when we were in college, Jeff, and they said all these communities of 15,000 plus, are there less communities of 15,000 plus because people have migrated to the larger?
Because they had no freeway access.
Yeah, but seriously, have more people moved to the bigger cities?
That's a good question. Well, we would still have 15,000 if they had only built that expressway.
Maybe that's how they can move it from 2040. They realized they had less cities to connect.
That's maybe that. We might have to do a little research on that one to find out if that's true and accurate. But good grief, that has taken a long time.
It's interesting that they need 4-lane for all those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't want to be behind a dump truck or a combine on a 2-lane road that's going like about 25 miles per hour, and you're in a hurry to get somewhere in, Wisner or something like that. So crews have installed a 6,000-pound bronze sculpture earlier this week just east of 10th Street on the Gene Leahy Mall. It is a work of one of Omaha's most famous artists, none other than June Kaneko.
The Dango King.
And, June Kaneko, of course, the Kaneko on...
Sure.
What is that? Jackson? No, Jones Street? Jones Street. Yeah, in the old market. This is 16 feet tall, so a lot of cool public art going.
So it's something unique. It's bronze.
Yeah, bronze. But when you look at it, from a distance, you don't think bronze because it's
not a dango. It's not a giant dumpling like he's known for it.
Are they really called a dango?
I think they're called dangos. Okay. Dumplings, the Japanese dumplings.
What's a dango?
Like in front of the.
Maybe the dango ate your baby. No, that's a dingo, right? I get confused about some of these things.
The Seinfeld episode, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. At any rate.
You accused me of getting off track.
It's a pretty cool sculpture, though. If you haven't been by there, go see it. Looks really, really cool. So let's talk a little bit about gross metropolitan product. We've heard of gross domestic product, GNP, gross national product, but there's a thing called gross metropolitan product. And Lou Chiganos, who's a good friend of Grow Omaha, sent us this note. He found a report from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which really dug in and studied GMP, gross metropolitan product, for all of the legally defined metropolitan areas in the United States. Well, Omaha in 2021, had a gross metropolitan product of $77.9 billion. It's projected to be substantially more than that in 2023 because we're growing. But what's really kind of cool is that $77.9 billion in 2021 put Omaha in 50th place among the metro areas. In terms of population, Omaha is only 58th. So in terms of economic output and economic might, Omaha punches well above its weight. In fact, you guys might like to know this. Here are some cities, some metro areas rather, that have more population than Omaha, but a smaller gross metropolitan product.
But when you say it's the expanded Omaha area.
The metropolitan area.
MSA.
Yeah, metropolitan, that'd be MSA. So, larger metros, smaller gross metropolitan product. Buffalo, New York, Birmingham, Alabama, Rochester, New York, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Honolulu, and Tulsa. So then those are quite a bit bigger. And then like New Orleans and like Oklahoma City is only one spot ahead of us, and they've got about 300,000 or 400,000 more people than we have in their metro area. So kudos to Omaha workers and businesses. People are doing a pretty good job. I think you fellas are contributing to that gross metropolitan product a little bit.
We all are.
Well, that's a great statistic or indice. I mean, that'll be really interesting. That's quite exciting, kind of going forward with resurgence of manufacturing and in different tax laws and regional manufacturing. That'll be kind of really interesting metric to track going forward here. That's a real interesting thing to bring up there.
Well, it's all about productivity, and if Omaha workforce and our output's higher than these other cities, that's certainly something the Chamber of Commerce can use in their basket of goods.
Yeah, for their marketing, for sure.
Joe Finley, and a realtor with NP Dodge Residential Sales, he writes a column in our Grow Omaha newsletter, which we call the Grow Omaha Weekly Market Report. And he has something interesting. Well, he has something interesting in all of them, but something jumped out this week. He included the top 5 zip codes in Douglas County for most or the highest median home prices, or basically a 2022 median home sale price, highest numbers. So the number 1 most affluent zip code in Douglas County, according to home sale value, is 68064. And those homes sold for an average of $647,500. In 68022, the average selling price, or the median price, was $483,000 and some change. 68130 was next, $384,000. 68007 was fourth at $382,000 and some change. And the fifth one was 68118 at just under $364,000.
People are going to start wearing shirts with their zip codes on them.
Bragging up.
It was like a spelling show, that we could start up with that.
Yeah, like
Beverly,
201 or something like that.
Beverly Hills 902.
Yeah, like if you live in 68064, people are like, oh my God, he's a 68064. And they'll whisper about him and be jealous of the guy and all that sort of.
Rappers will be talking about
Block letters on your
That's true. They have the really good cocktails at 68064.
That's where you live, right, Jeff?
Well, we might have to move there. I mean, if that's where the action's at and I'm not there, that's probably just not right. So
we could move into Trenton's basement.
Yeah.
I know.
68135, baby.
I tell you, whatever.
35.
Trenton can just have his own zip code. He's got so much going on. All right. That's your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. When we come back, Trenton, Brian Hartman, and I are going to be talking about Sarpy County growth and development. A lot of construction, a lot of industrial projects, a lot of farm ground turning into very cool developments. It's going to be a wide-ranging Sarpy discussion. You'll enjoy it. Stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
This is Darcy with
When you guys plug
We've
your
run our business for years by helping the
newsletter,
vehicle owner retain the value of their vehicle by working
do you
for
know
them
that,
with warranted, safe, high-standard repairs.
I heard one
For
time
this
that
reason,
investors,
Omaha
it's
vehicle
like
owners
required
are
to-
using
we're
Dingman's
on
for
sales
their
recording
vehicles.
the show
Your
right now.
loyalty
We're
is
live,
shown.
but to watch
Repeat
commercial
business and
with
amazing
Omaha.
referrals.
It's required
You've
now.
also
They
voted
discuss
us
your
first
show.
place
Oh,
best
really?
Omaha
I don't
for
know
the
that.
10
Yeah.
years.
Hilarious.
We want to
Yeah,
celebrate
it is.
you.
I thought, what a nice compliment. The other thing is people always asking me,
What's
like,
the
your
address?
parents used to ask
Rather
me,
be the
remember,
best than apologize for
we used to have
anything
Julia
less.
Roberts.
We say
back in the day, like,
How do you know
so
offers
much about
business
the
owners
market
100%
and this and that.
financing
I'm
on
like,
equipment purchases
and
accepted.
so there's a lot of people that
complicate
don't
your equipment purchase.
know
Lease
how
Genie
to
offers
feel like
fast,
an
affordable
insider. So you can
equipment
kind of
leases for
pitch
all
it as
credit
a
profiles
cheat
from
sheet.
$5,000 up to
You know,
$5,000.
for cheat sheet for your clients, so you like on the inside, you know. All you gotta do is do a little bit of research, 4 or 5 things a day, and you feel like you know what's going on.
You know what's going on, yeah.
The bank alternative.
Yeah, you don't have to know everything to come across like you know everything.
You just gotta know a few highlights here and there.
Or the family archiver.
Yeah,
They'll
it's
find the perfect gift
so.
at Westbrook Camera.
Do you want to? I might just say, because I heard you two kind of landing this out. I might just kind of turn it over to you. I'll just jump in when appropriate. But I'll just let Trent, you can get his feet on.
And online at rockbrookcamera.com.
I think I've earned that.
We can ramble.
Hi, this is Joe
on.
Cordell
I'll
of the law
just,
firm Cordell & Cordell.
jump in
When the
with some very
prospect of
pithy
divorce
and
becomes a
appropriate
reality, you
comments
need a
as
partner
needed.
that you can count on. If you're a man in
Ohio's
this situation,
145th
consider
and,
contacting Cordell &
Gold Coast
Cordell.
Road.
We've helped men navigate
Also, keep in
complex
mind,
legal matters for 30 years.
After the next
Contact
week, I don't
Cordell
have
&
anything for
Cordell
the
to
novel
schedule an
spot
appointment
yet.
with one of our firm's Nebraska or Iowa attorneys. A
I've
partner
been
men
meaning
can
to
count
get
on.
on the phone with Jay or Sam
13340
and kinda get
California
some
Street,
new,
Suite 200,
material I
Omaha,
can get
Nebraska,
that takes care of.
Should we talk about the
68154.
Rotellas yet,
Online at
or-
cordellcordell.com.
Make the season
Okay,
even
maybe
brighter with
let's save the
beautiful jewelry from
Rotellas.
JTV.
Good idea for
Shop
the.
JTV.com
We'll save the
and get
Rotellas
$25
discussion
off
for
your
the
purchase of $50
commercial real
or
estate
more
development
when you use
spotlight
code
on
RADIO25.
Steel Ridge.
You'll discover
Yeah.
more
Oh,
than
yeah.
40,000
The 40
jewelry
acres.
designs and gifts. That's enough to keep everyone on your list sparkling all
It's,
season long.
who's
Plus,
developing
new
it for 'em,
customers
you know?
will receive $40 in brilliant
They might
cash
be
to
doing
use
it
toward their
themselves.
next
I mean,
jewelry
they
purchase.
bought the ground.
Shop JTV.com and use code RADIO25 and fill your holiday with
And we'll do-
sparkle.
And we'll talk.
If you've
We'll
driven
talk
by
both
any of Anderson's
middle
convenience
sections
market's
for
8
this
metro
stuff.
area locations, you probably noticed a change. Quality Amoco fuels are back. Look for the Amoco logo at Anderson Convenience Market. For generations, Amoco was one of the most iconic fuel brands in America, and now it's better than ever. With Amoco, you get high-quality fuel
So
prepared
how
with
gives
the
you-
Invigorate detergent package, resulting in the
Did you
best
restrain yourself,
long-term
or-
care for your
had a
engine.
good time.
Anderson Convenience Market, serving Omaha since 1952.
Good time
and
last
now,
night.
with quality Amoco
Everyone was
fuels.
funny. Good humor.
This is Jim Rose, hoping that you hear every day's Rosie DiGenosi live at 8:50 in the morning. But in case you miss it, it's just a click away on the podcast page under Jim Rose at KFAB.com.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid at your service. We're joined today by our colleague and good friend Brian Hartman from NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate. The show's brought to you by D&M Roofing and Siding and Dingman's Collision Center. If you've been around town the last few days, I don't need to tell you that we've had that pesky, irritating snow, and that can lead to some unfortunate driving incidents. If one of those unfortunate incidents on icy roads this week happened to you, fear not, just go to Dingman's Collision Center. They take good care of you. They've been doing this for a long time. They always win these Best of Omaha contests because people just love them. They're so professional. They're so customer service oriented. I suppose most importantly, they just make the car really good, just like it was before. 4 metro area locations, Dingman's Collision Center. Well, guys, I'm going to turn it over to you because, Trenton, to get this conversation started, because Brian Hartman and you are gurus of Sarpy County growth and development.
Thanks, Jeff. One of the brightest spots in commercial real estate nationwide, maybe internationally, and certainly in Omaha, has been industrial building, development, filling spaces. Brian and I, for years, have worked on a lot of industrial projects. When it comes to industrial in Omaha, Sarpy area has been shining the brightest. That doesn't mean that there's a bunch of there's still a bunch of development going northwest, but along Interstate 80, along Highway 370, Highway 50, a lot of projects. Brian and I were fortunate enough to work with a family in selling 3 80-acre tracts of land, and 2 of them within a month are already under contract.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a really nice project.
Still going.
Still, yeah, ongoing. The one at 199th and Giles is an interesting project because of the future dam site.
Yeah, so the Natural Resources District they have long-term planning, and they've identified another Natural Resources District lake, and this is, if you can imagine, 199th and Giles, so it's just east of 204th Street. A developer has it under contract, and they will have home sites, and then they'll work with the NRD to sell them, to resell them the recreational area, and that really makes it attractive residential project. That was the first to get under contract. They're in their due diligence phase right now. That area is hopping with schools and with a lot of residential developments going on.
Second piece that we worked on is at 174th and Capehart, which is in this kind of activity-laden area that Trenton discussed off of Highway 50. And that's a piece that a different developer that we know and we work with has under contract. It's 80 acres as well. And that's a piece that's going to be real interesting in the future as the sewer district evolves, and also as the Nebraska Department of Roads looks into the 192nd and I-80 interchange, and that will open up this piece and pieces to the west of it. So that's going to be a real great piece for this developer in the future.
And Brian mentioned the sewer, and you may have heard a lot of talk in the news and in the development community when they talk about the watershed, and there's a lot of Sarpy County that drains to the south, which currently isn't sewerable, but the sewer plan is in place, and it just takes a while to go out that far. And so the developer that bought that's buying 174th and Capehart Road, we'll farm it and we'll use it and we'll plan it. It'll probably be mostly residential community. But we've got an exciting piece that is just west of Facebook development. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, and the third farm that we've got a lot of interest in, but it's still available. So call Trenton and I to get more details on it. And that's another 80-acre farm that's off of Capehart and approximately 156th Street. And it's just west of the data center, and it's also just south of a 80-acre industrial development that's in construction now. And so it's a wonderful piece for an industrial developer because it's right on a waterway, which the new sewer line will run right through this property and connect to another industrial development that's in entitlement process right now. And so we're happy to market that piece, 80 acres, and its highest and best use is an industrial park.
And we're getting inquiries. We've been talking back and forth with a national data center developer that's very interested in that piece, and if they don't move quick enough, it might be gone next week. And so we're excited about that. But there's also, Brian, there's a lot of projects being built. There's industrial buildings being built just to the north of this project. R&R Commerce Park South. Mm-hmm. The original Commerce Park, which is about 145th and Gold Coast Road. Brian and I are happy to welcome Pivot Bio, and Brian will tell us more about that. But it's 110,000 square foot industrial, which they're moving into now.
Yeah, that was a. Trent and I are happy to. It's real exciting to be able to work on the front end on the land sales and to future development parks, and then work on the back end on tenants. And Pivot Bio is a real exciting project to work on. That's a real fantastic company out of Berkeley, California. Has a new technology, basically a natural technology for soybean fertilizer and corn to add nitrogen in it naturally. And so they're just blowing up, and it's powerful management team, and they just are.
A gentleman by the name of Ty Cook brought us into it that's been with the company, and really excited. Ford warehouse took the rest of that building. That was a big building, over 200,000 feet. Yeah, so development, industrial development gets built and it gets filled.
And with that, we're going to take our middle of the show break. But when we come back, we've got a lot more Sarpy County development stuff to talk to you about. So we're going to do all that. We also have the commercial real estate development spotlight of the week by Nodal Companies ahead. That's also going to be some Sarpy County development that we're going to talk about as well. All sorts of things. So stay with us. You're listening to Jeff Beals, Trenton Magid, and Brian Hartman on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Do you have someone giving you a no-cost
So
risk
here,
assessment of your roof?
Trenton, century-old family bakery to expand in Sarpy County frontier. Steel Ridge developer fills more gaps in 400-acre tract of former farmland.
Let us come take a look at your property and make sure you don't have any damage
Where's that from?
storms. If you do, our
World
experience
and Nebraska
something like that.
Examiner, I think both.
D&M
So
has been
Rotel
proud of all
tends to run a
since
cold storage
1965.
distribution
Find us online
on the
at
nearly 50 acres.
dnmroofing.com.
They bought 50 acres.
They're buying. It's buying.
Let's get that
Okay.
fixed.
There's
It's
50
bought.
acres to buy.
Oh yeah. There's 80
First step
acres
is to
in there.
figure out what you're
The
worth.
company,
Get a free
and then it'll
valuation
say,
from the guys
I don't know
who
if you
sold more
caught this,
businesses for more money.
When earlier in the interview, Trenton made reference to tracts of land. I was already go, huge tracts of land from the Monty Python
Window coverings
bit.
have come a long way.
tracts of
Our shades
land.
aren't just for hard-to-reach windows
It's
anymore.
fully built.
Hi,
Nodal expects the total Steel Ridge to be
Yeah, he said
valued
tracts of land.
Smart choice for
Hey,
uncut
Jeff.
blinds,
Huge
shades,
tracts
and
of
shutters.
land.
Whether you need to cover
That's-
one
that's
window
our-
or your whole
that's
home,
you should have-
we
I should
make
have.
it easy
Steel
to
Ridge
select
South?
the best
Yeah.
option
Nodal,
for you.
read that to
Call
Jeff.
for your free home appointment.
I know,
with
yeah, because we talked about
Omaha's
Grow Omaha.
300 to 400
integrated windows
past.
on
Other
the
value.
web
Did you-
at
I don't know if we did that.
integrated
roughly
windows.com.
400 Steel Ridge commercial industrial.
Deals start now
which is
with
so far
savings on
heavy.
select business PCs powered by
didn't say
12th
that.
gen
Where it says
Intel
Nautilus
Core
is what?
processors.
I'll find
Call
it.
a Dell Technologies advisor at
Not very.
877-ASK-DELL. That's 877
Up to
ask
400
Dell.
million evaluation.
Up to 400 million of value.
Hi, this is Joe
Just-
Cordell
just-
with the law
just
firm Cordell & Cordell.
for
When the
Steel Ridge South?
prospect of
Yeah, just for
divorce
South.
becomes a reality,
That's
you need a
pretty
partner
impressive.
that you can count
Could be
on.
both
If you're a
sides.
man in this
Both sides.
situation, consider contacting Cordell & Cordell.
You just say the Steel
We've
Ridge
helped
area.
men
Yes,
navigate
Steel
complex legal matters for 30 years.
Big number.
Contact Cordell &
Fully
Cordell
built
to
Nodal
schedule an
expects the
appointment
Steel
with one of our
Ridge,
firm's
total value
Nebraska
Steel Ridge
or
pipeline
Iowa
size.
attorneys. A
Okay.
partner
Still,
you can
that's
count
impressive
on.
number.
13340
And I wanna
California
try to
Street,
see
Suite 200,
interstate
Omaha, Nebraska at
access, that's where that's
68154.
coming.
Online at cordellcordell.com.
And then
Make the
it'll
season
say-
even brighter with beautiful jewelry from JTB. Shop JTB.com
So 50
and get
acres,
$25 off your
3
purchase
to
of $50 or
400
more when you use
are
code
our release routes.
RADIO25.
Okay, we talked about
You'll
that.
discover more than 40,000
Talked about
jewelry
that.
designs and gifts. That's enough to
Maybe
keep
tactical.
everyone on your list sparkling all season
150th
long.
Street
Plus, new
improvement off of
customers will
370
receive
if we wanna talk about
$40 in
that.
brilliant cash
And we wanna
to
talk
use
about your
toward their
blackout
next
purchase.
jewelry
Rotella,
purchase.
And
Shop
during the
JTB.com
regular
and
segment,
use
we wanna
code
talk Black Elk,
RADIO25 and
Yes.
fill your
Okay.
holiday with sparkle.
I want
Are
to
you
see
going to come into
Hi,
the
this is Eric with D&M Roofing. When a
the
storm
Nodal
hits your
development
commercial
spotlight? Or?
property,
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
overwhelmed
come in and
to
do
the
that,
storm
and-
and the insurance process.
Okay, here.
The D&M
City
Roofing is
documents
on
that
your side and
Rotella's
has been
tram
for
project to be
50+
built
years.
out in phases
With
with the
services
first
like
structure
our
flows
free
at 220
no-cost
square
risk
foot.
management for commercial properties, we provide preventative
So
analysis
220,
to potential damage, repair,
That's
and
22
documentation
acres
of any
Yeah.
of
issues
50.
found.
So
Does
the
your
first they're
commercial
due,
roofing
so they're
company
probably
do that?
ultimately going to have
D&M
a
Roofing.
500,000
Find us
square foot.
online
Would be
at
my guess. First project's 220,
Let's
The
get that
road, which is
fixed.
the
Tell it to
Rotellas.
me.
which is the Rotella.
Fox News, I'm Garrett McHugh. With Title 42 restrictions along the southern border set to expire Wednesday, Texas officials are calling for the Remain in Mexico provisions to be maintained.
That's the provision in the law that deals with asylum and making people stay in their country of origin or be detained until they get to their hearing.
State Attorney General Ken Paxton on Fox and Friends Weekend. Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas says new ways to protect the border are being considered. As the holidays draw nearer, the nation's airports are seeing an uptick in travelers. A bit of advice.
One, make sure to check in with your airline before you even get here to make sure there weren't any changes to your flight. You want to come early, so that can be 2 to 3 hours early, especially if
What's
you're
the
going
latest on
international.
Amazon's
And
opening?
make
They're
sure
supposed to
book
open.
yourself
Okay,
with
glad you got that on
guidelines.
camera.
30 to 60
Stop
days.
trying to go through that
Unofficial.
checkpoint.
I can talk about that. There's a ton of activity, and I know through hiring that they've got management that they're looking to start working on.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
No, I made it. Believe it or not.
Why is this making it so tough? More sharing options. Oh, I'll text it to
If
you.
you didn't make it, Jeff, I wouldn't show it.
Oh, yeah.
There,
Whoop
here.
the camera around real fast.
Yeah, I would just stay on that.
I should go to the GoPro.
Yeah, sure.
Here you go.
I don't think the GoPro catches.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Your vehicle is
if you're watching the
It gets you where you
Uncut,
need to go.
we're
But
very
it does
proud
much
to
more
have
than
our
that.
friend
I'm Darcy
Chris
with
Corey
Collision Center, and
of
at
Arbor
Dingman's, we know your
Creative
vehicle is an
in the
investment
house.
and that safety is your
Not only is he going to edit
Make
it,
sure your vehicle
but
is
he's
as safe as it will.
he is here
Charge for an
recording it.
accident,
Normally,
and to
normally he's
for
the editor, but
proper,
today he's
safe,
recording and
certified
editing.
repairs.
He's
We
full
protect
service.
you
Full
and your
service.
investment. We've been voted Best of Omaha for the past 17
I
years.
remember that, like when we're walking underneath street lamps.
flights to see your folks?
That should be edited
We
out as
can do
well.
it later.
From those cameras, how do you get
But
that
untreated
edited?
COVID isn't one of them.
Oh, you like those public cameras?
COVID
You know,
can
some
Is there a way to
got
request
COVID
a
symptoms,
edit out
talk
of
to a doctor and get treatment right
Big
away.
Brothers?
You can,
Good luck.
you can there's a way to have your house blurred out on Google Maps.
Is there?
Yeah, I've known, because there are a few people I've known, I've looked at their property, their building or whatever, for whatever reason.
They go to the time to have a look.
Yeah, apparently there's a way to do it that if you're so paranoid about having your house being seen on Google Street View, you can have it blurred out.
You can have your name, like, if they search your name on DCSS search, I think you can have that removed.
Really? But you see, the thing is,
It'll show up, like, if someone types the address.
you can remove all this stuff or blur things out, but if someone really wants to find out a lot about you, they're going to
There's so many sources online.
They're going to find it.
Podcasts and videos from our hosts. Connect with News Radio 1110 KFAB on Facebook.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid from NAI NP Dodge, along with our colleague Brian Hartman here at your service. Show's brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. I tell you what, you will not find a better roofer anywhere in the Nebraska-Iowa area than D&M Roofing and Siding. Eric Obrumt and his team there do such an outstanding job. And we have a ton of people who listen to the show who are in construction or property management, or they're business owners that own their own building. And if that's you and you have a commercial building, check into D&M's preventative maintenance program. Really good way to keep your roofing costs low and allow you to sleep better at night. dnmroofing.com. Well, let's go to our commercial real estate development spotlight, which, in keeping with the Sarpy County growth and development theme, we'll talk about a project in Sarpy County. But Noddle Companies is the sponsor. Jay Noddle and his team do an outstanding job. These guys are prolific because everyone knows, Noddle Companies in Omaha, Exarban Village, River's Edge, the Builders District downtown, and many, many others. But they do these things all over the country.
They're big in Colorado.
Yeah, they're all sorts of places. Noddle Companies has projects going on. Tip-top, high-quality projects. If you are looking for a space to live or to put a business, a Noddle project would be a great choice. At any rate, one of the projects they have is Steel Ridge, and we've got a nice big project to talk about at Steel Ridge.
Yeah, and first to frame it, if you get off on Highway 370 of I-80, right there you've got Steel Ridge North, and that's where you have H&H building car dealerships. You have Baxter building car dealerships. New projects coming up there. They've got Pella Windows. Menards is planned to go there. So that's Steel Ridge North. But on Steel Ridge South, there's a 50-acre development that Brian will tell us about.
Yeah, and Steel Ridge South, which is also being developed by the Noddle Companies. Rotella's a fantastic Omaha company has purchased 50 acres for expansion of their company for some industrial buildings, and they're planning the first phase is going to be a 220,000 square foot building on that piece.
So that's a lot of bread and flour and yeast and all that kind of stuff. But that is a big building, and that's a big tract of land right near the interstate. And you've got Omaha Steaks distribution center there. You have 88 Tactical there with their tower right on the corner. You got the FedEx distribution facility that's pretty new, and you've got a bunch of other buildings.
Yeah, it's just it's going to be real exciting, and there's going to be not all companies in conjunction with the landowner are going to bring a lot of valuation. There's
about $400 million when it's totally built out.
So, Brian, let's talk about another project in Sarpy County that you're working on. It's called the Black Elk Project. It's a nice piece of industrial land immediately east of the massive Amazon Regional Distribution Center. So we're talking northeast of Highways 50 and 370. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there and some unique things that the developers had to do to get that land ready for construction.
Yes, thanks, Jeff. So we talked a little bit about the land Trenton and I have sold for future industrial developments. Well, this is a piece that's further along. It's about 15 acres, right at 138th and basically on the northeast corner, 138th and 370, just east of as Jeff said, the Amazon Regional Distribution Center. And that is a piece that I worked with a group to develop that, and that's has a ton of very fantastic amenities. And we're looking for just the right person on that to either do a JV with or to lease 150,000 square foot warehouse. Some of the unique attributes of that site are basically an NRD dam to the east of it. So basically there's a lake that it overlooks. And so I envision a corporate building with warehouse and distribution component, and the east end of that building having offices that overlook that lake, and then have the synergy of their warehouse or manufacturing portion on the west end. Lighted intersection, neighbors to Amazon on the west. Truly unique property, probably only industrial site that has those attributes in the county.
Has it been graded already?
It's already graded. The storm sewer infrastructure has been installed. Retaining walls have been installed for a flat 15-acre pad site.
So someone right in the spring, someone could just start building. Do the plans now and just start building.
You can start building in the spring.
And you talked about during the break, Amazon. After some, they've been completed for a long time, but Amazon is going to go to work in the next month or two, right?
Yes, we've been excited as we've worked on our project to see all the activity at Amazon, and then I've heard that management's getting hired and for starting in first quarter of 2023. So that will open that facility up, and it'll be a real powerful northeast corner of Highway 50 and 370.
Let's continue our industrial discussion, but citywide, the demand for industrial really hasn't slowed. You and I both get calls. Someone wants 40,000 feet, 60,000 square feet. John Meyer and I leased 67,000 square feet as part of Millard Lumber's campus and didn't have time to put up a sign. We had 3 offers, and it went to FCC. Fremont Custom Carriers, a great tenant, and people are still calling, and we have to tell them that portion's leased.
Yeah, there's no with our research and what we've talked to our clients, there's no slowdown on demand for that space, industrial space, and it's also evidenced by forward-thinking development companies that we talked about on the land listings Trent and I have that are still purchasing ground for future development. So the market is still, if you build it, it'll lease up, and it's 50, 100, 200,000 square foot spaces.
And there's been a lot of talk, too, about, construction costs are so high right now, but it really doesn't seem to have slowed the demand. I think some companies predict that construction costs are being held or might come down over the next year or two. What are your thoughts?
My understanding is that the increase in interest rate is going to be offset partially by a reduction in construction costs, with residential housing slowing down, some contractors freeing up. they feel there's going to be a little bit of offset to counter the increased cost of capital. So yes, I agree.
And I've heard some of the local big banks, a lot of their projects, because the interest rates are so high, that some of these deals aren't coming together. So think about what that does to existing vacant space or space that's coming together, or tenants that have a renewal without a fixed rate option.
Yeah, it's going to be. It'll be a different time for different strategies for businesses going forward to overcome some of those headwinds. It'll be good for landlords. Will be in good position going into 2023 for sure.
And the lead times for these construction projects, can be a year or two as well.
Hey guys, let's talk about a couple other little development areas in Sarpy County. Highway 50 corridor with Google and Facebook and Amazon and a lot of other not quite such big name projects going in there. How long before Highway 50 land from 370 to Springfield is virtually 100% full? I mean, it's going fast.
Well, between Facebook and other projects, a lot of the land is already in developers' hands.
It's purchased.
And it's just a question of is sewer a major issue on that, Brian?
Yes, it's purchased in anticipation of the sewer district completing their project, which you'll see construction all up and down Platteview Road. You see the sewer lines going in. And when that gets completed in the next year to two, that's all developable. It will all sewer.
And just be kaboom, go like that. Also in Sarpy County, there is quite a bit of industrial going in immediately south of Nebraska Crossing. We've got basically, from what I understand, about 1 million square feet in just a couple buildings with room for a lot more there.
The new street project?
Yeah. So I'm thinking, and of course, Brian, you mentioned earlier in the show the potential for that interchange at around 192nd and Interstate 80. It'll be interesting to see how fast that corridor along I-80 fills up from, say, Steel Ridge at 370 I-80 out to Nebraska Crossing and this new industrial stuff to the south.
So it's all driven. A lot of that's driven. Access and interstate access is all very important, but it's so much of that's driven by sewer. And so the Lozier project is all in the Buffalo Creek Basin, which will allow it to sewer into Gretna. So it'll pump into Gretna, and it's going to be and there's a capacity to do that. So that was a real nice purchase there. And then when you pull out of that, outside of those boundaries, you're into the sewer district activity. And so when that sewer line gets done, then that will fill in between Highway 50 all the way out to the Loziers project over time. I mean, it's not going to happen. But we're talking 10, 15 years.
And Lozier develops under the name New Street Properties too. So we're talking about this.
Yeah, thanks.
The same group. Do they have buildings? Do we know that they're going to come out of the ground with? I know they've been grading the heck out of that.
Yes, yeah. They're specking buildings. I think the first one's a 400,000 square footer.
Wow.
All right, with that, we're going to take our final break of the hour. And when we come back, Trenton and Brian and I will have the Turner Construction Lightning Round. A lot of things on the list that you don't want to miss. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Everyone says
I think anybody at home goes and says, it's not 400, those guys aren't right, it's 300.
Oh, I mean,
Do you think they
we already got something.
We've got a few people that nitpick.
They say, who's that idiot sitting to the right of
No,
They wouldn't know.
Robbie Ryan. You know Robbie Ryan?
They wouldn't know whether he's left or right.
Yeah, just quoted someplace on a new construction department deal. Hard to make the numbers work.
I mean, for all they know, he could be on the left.
Whoever the guy is that keeps drifting from his microphone. I got this.
That's great.
This is, I think.
This is get closer to the microphone.
Okay, this is close. Okay.
Yeah. Because
I thought it was quiet down.
Because Trenton is so sexy, everyone wants to in that seat turn and look at him. But we need to keep the mouth here.
1 block south of 100.
I think we covered it pretty well, though. We sound like we. Actually, you know what we covered is that we're A to Z solution. We'll get you development ground and we'll find you a tenant.
We should name ourselves A to Z Real Estate.
A to Z Real Estate.
Not
Triple A Real Estate. Triple A Real Estate.
I don't think it's a big deal at all, but
With your comfort needs in our
we just kind of morphed.
There's
we
no
covered it so
to
well.
adopt
Yeah,
your team.
we covered
We
That's
covered it
okay,
very
Yeah,
because
because
you
we
don't
got the
have to
name
know
there a
it
lot
all
of
to be a
times.
perfect parent. Go to
We took the
adoptyourself.org
So why
to learn
cannot
more about how to be the perfect parent to teens and foster
Brian
care.
Hartman
Sponsored by Ad Council.
That was actually almost one of my favorite conversations with Trent. He goes, Brian, you know,
If you had,
I just don't think that's gonna work. And I was telling Jeff, I said, I don't know. I got 4 months into it. I don't know if I'll get any more than that. I think I got 6 months.
I got 6 months of it. Yeah.
Because before working up to that, he'd say, I remember around the year, I do my commercial. He goes, or you can call me.
That was awesome.
News stories.
All right, fellas, here we go.
I advertise.
Contests and
I
all of our
advertise.
hosts' social media links can be found right now on
their show.
KFAB.com.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid and Brian Hartman at your service. We are now launching into the lightning round. That's the period of time in which we give you a couple things that you can talk about at your cocktail party tonight. It's brought to you by Turner Construction, one of the nation's largest and most respected, admired construction firms, and they are full in on Omaha, Nebraska and area. I mean, they're doing projects big, medium, and small. A lot of people are finding that, hey, if you're going to work in the trades, go work for Turner Construction because it's such an employee-friendly place, and that translates into really good projects for their customers. And you'll see their name around town, you know, whether it's a new bank branch or the Sarpy County Data Center, big stuff going on.
And that's what's going on. You see the Turner Construction's fencing up at Lakeside Hills Shopping Center, and that's over by Tanner's, and that's another Chase Bank.
And let's get into a few things. We've got Burger Detour, a new quick-serve restaurant, plans to open next year in a to-be-constructed building at 183rd and West Maple. We talked about Tupelo Honey Southern Kitchen and Bar a few months ago. That'll be good. We now know where it's going downtown, 830 Harney Street. That has to be in that new Brickline building, I would think. Daily Thread has opened a store at Regency Shopping Center, New York-based company. They sell off-price apparel, and they have private labels as well as big brands and all that sort of thing.
Petite to the enormous.
I don't know if that's quite the terminology they use.
Well, size inclusivity.
That's a size inclusivity is the word. I don't recall seeing enormous on the press release. Now, Joint Chiropractic has opened an office at 12330 K Plaza at L Street Marketplace. That practice also has a Council Bluffs location. Stories Coffee has opened another Omaha metro area location, this one in Midtown Crossing in the former Culprit and Delise space at 31st and Farnham Street. And then Poppin' Smoke Southern Grill, unfortunately, plans to close permanently on December 17th, just a couple, well, that's today actually. So that's the last shot for them. They had originally been Tired Texan Barbecue, and they moved to Papillion. It's unfortunate that didn't work out because it was really, really good place. I enjoyed going there earlier. And they only started there in like June, and unfortunately, I think maybe the space just didn't work out for them because it was a good product. But with that is your lightning round brought to you by Turner Construction, and you can learn more about Turner just by going to turner.com, and they take good care of you and any of the projects for which you might be involved. So, music's playing. We're done. Hope everyone's really enjoying the holiday season with all of the social comings and goings. Good luck with your shopping. Brian Hartman, glad you're able to join us today.
I really appreciate you guys, and you do such a great job.
Thanks, Brian. Brian Hartman, NAINP Dodge. That's it for this week. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center. D&M Roofing and Siding, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
It's a wrap. What's up?
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.